What's going on, guys? Welcome back to your Lake Fork Guide, and today I'm going to give you guys a complete breakdown on how I use my mapping, my sonar, and my downscan. That's right, we're going to break down all the settings, all the little tricks and tips, and give you a top to bottom how-to on getting the most out of your electronics at your console. Well, these days, guys, you know, it is so important to be proficient with your electronics units right here at your console. This is where it all starts. We all get fired up about Humminbird 360s and about live sonars, whether it be Lowrance Active Target, whether it be Garmin Live Scope, whatever kind of Humminbird Mega Live, whatever you're using. Everybody's caught up around live sonars and 360 imaging. And those are great. And yes, those do help you catch fish. But first, before you can catch fish, you have to find fish. And when you're talking about summertime and offshore structure fishing, it all still begins right here with mapping, sonar, downscan, and side scan. And today I wanted to show you guys all my settings and all the little tricks that I've learned over the years that help me catch these fish on Lake Fork and really anywhere I go whenever they're offshore. All right, guys, let's start with the mapping here on my Lowrance. Now, one of the first things that I like to do, if you look at some of the structures that are on Lake Fork, is you can see if you'll color code your map, it makes the contours much easier to see. They stand out like a sore thumb. You can see the different colors here that I use: orange, yellow, green, purple, blue, dark blue, and it really just makes those contour lines pop. Now, you could see those contour lines without those colors, but when you add those colors in there, it's just going to make things much simpler. If I just scroll across the map, I can see there's another point that extends out there, and then I scroll this way. Well, these points don't really extend out that much. There's one that extends out there. You know, it just makes everything pop, and it's so much easier to narrow down the types of areas that you're looking for on a map, even when you're zoomed out real wide. Well, look, here's a point that sticks way out. We'll zoom in on that. You know, it just shows all the structure in such clear and easy detail to see as you go along when you color code your mapping. So I thought I would start with showing you guys how to do that. All right, so what you're gonna do, this is your Lowrance base map right here on my Lowrance HDS Lives. So we're gonna go to more options. That's the first button to hit, more options, okay? Chart options, which is right here. Scroll down, shading. You can see I've got depth 1 selected, but you can go to custom and you can change the colors for each depth zone. I'm not gonna change any of mine because I like mine the way I've got it. As you can see, I've got 50 and 100 marked the same color. I don't need anything over 50 foot. We don't ever fish over 50 foot. 30 is light blue. 20 to 30 is purple. 30 to 50 is light blue. 10 to 20 is green. 5 to 10 is orange. 0 to 5 is yellow. So you can go in and select these different colors. If I wanted to change purple, I would just go right here, select that, and I can pick whatever color I want. But that's how you do that. That's how you change your map color setting. That's the first thing you need to do. That's going to make structures appear so obvious on your electronics. And that's really the only adjustment that you need to make on your mapping. You can run whatever mapping card you want to, be it Navionics, or if you have Humminbird, you run Lake Master. But really the only adjustment that I make on Lowrance, and this is their base map. Lowrance's base map nowadays, guys, is actually really pretty darn good. And so I just kind of roll with Lowrance's base map and I adjust those settings. That's the main thing I do with my map, is change those colors. Now we're going to go look at our sonar settings. So let's go see what our sonar settings are. We've got our sonar stop. We'll go ahead and get it rolling for you guys, even though we're out here in the middle of nowhere right now. But our sonar settings are going to be important as well. Okay, the first thing that you want to do in sonar settings is determine what palette you want to use. There's all different kinds of palettes that you can pick from. I prefer palette 13. It shows the bottom very clear because it has a brown bottom. You can't see it right now because I don't have any fish icons, but I'll overlay some shots of fish if I can. You can kind of see a little bit of a fish arc right there. You see that little tiny fish arc? It's got the yellow in it. Well, if you get a big dense fish mark, it'll show like a green center to it. And to me, I really like that. A lot of people, it comes set on number 1 with the yellow, reddish orange and bluish purple colors. That's kind of the standard Lowrance setting when you get the unit out of the box. But I actually prefer palette 13. But that's a personal preference, though. You can pick whatever you want. All right, so here's the rest of our settings. These are actually the first settings you're gonna see. Range, auto, 40 feet. I normally run mine on about 30 feet. Right now we're in deeper water, so I just clicked it on auto so that it would adjust with us. But one key thing that you wanna do is you want to have your graph at a standard setting. So if it's 30 feet, it's 30 feet. If you're going to fish in 25 feet and less, set it at 30. If you're going to fish in 15 foot and less, set it at 20. But you want to have a standard distance set on your graph. What that's going to do is whether you're graphing in 10 foot of water, you're graphing in 20 foot of water, it's going to make the marks on your graph, the fish arcs, look the exact same size. So I really like having a standard depth that I'm utilizing. I typically use 30 feet. Every once in a while, I have to back it out to 40 feet. On frequency, I always use 200 kilohertz, guys. You don't need 83. You definitely don't need 50. Those are for deeper water activities than bass fishing. Go ahead and use the 200 kilohertz settings. Sensitivity with Lowrance is the best because it comes set on auto, right? But I like to see a little bit more, so I pick it up to auto +2. The great thing is you don't have to figure out the right number for your sensitivity. You just go auto plus or auto minus, right? And I like to stay right at auto +2 is the setting that I choose to use. Color line at 82%. This you can play with a little bit to see what you want. Now, you need to have more stuff on the graph to really get it dialed in. Get over some good trees, get over something that you know is there. Get over an old sunken bridge, something like that, and play with your color line until you're getting the sonar image that you want. I got mine running at 82%. That's higher than I've ran on any other unit for whatever reason, and this is the second or third HDS Live I've had in a row. But for whatever reason, this one, I need the color line a little bit higher to see things the way that I want to see. It may be a new transducer Lowrance came out with, I'm not sure, but that's what I'm running mine at, 82%. Advanced settings, not a whole lot going on here, mainly noise rejection and surface clarity. I've heard guys recommend to turn those off. Man, to me, you don't want to do that. You're going to get too much clutter. If you turn it off, you're going to start seeing more clutter on your screen, and I do not like that. So it didn't make a whole big difference out here in 40 foot of water, but if I was in 15 or 20 foot of water, you would have seen a lot more fuzz show up on my electronics. So we're gonna go ahead and turn that to low. That's the factory settings that it comes on as low. I like to leave them just like that. Scroll speed is normal, ping speed is max. You always want your ping speed at max. Basically, the ping is when it sends down the signal and sends it back up. Well, that's how it shows you what's on the picture. It's sending a ping up and down to the bottom and back up, or down to the fish and then through the bottom and then back up. You want to get as much information as you can on these graphs. So you want your ping speed at max. You want it giving you as much intel as you can possibly get. A source is just whatever transducer you're using. Most of them you're just going to set on this unit, channel 1. More options, that's where your palette was. Split or no split, that's, you can go in here and zoom. You can go in here bottom light, like it's got all kinds of flash. You can put an old school flasher on there if you want to. All kinds of stuff in there. I don't mess with any of that stuff. I go to no split. And with the rest of this stuff, I don't mess with any of that, just the palette in this screen here. All right, guys, so there's your sonar settings. Now let's go into our downscan settings. And these are even simpler. We had this stopped at well. We'll go ahead and unlock that. But these are really, really simple. Source this unit. Same thing, it's on the same transducer that's for this unit, that's linked to this unit. Range at 30 feet, just like I told you. It's actually not set on auto, it's set at 30 feet. Frequency on this, it's got an 800 kilohertz, 455. I always run 800. Again, at 455 is for deeper water applications than what we're going to use. Contrast, I've got mine set on auto +4. Again, Lowrance makes things so easy with that auto plus, auto minus. It's the main reason that I love Lowrance is ease of function. All the units nowadays on Sonar, Downscan and Sidescan give really great imaging. Lowrance has hands down the best sonar imaging, but on Downscan and Sidescan, they're all giving really good imaging, including Humminbird, including Garmin. It's good images. You can certainly mark fish and mark structure, mark cover, mark things on the bottom on any of these units. Lowrance is simply the easiest one to use, hands down, out of all of them. And mainly, one of the main things that makes it that way is this auto plus and minus on your sensitivity, your contrast, things like that. So my contrast is set on auto +4, but you could experiment with that for yourself. Palette, I like palette number 6. Palette number 6 is what I like, but you can change. And I need to get, let's see if we can zoom out here, get the range where we are. Okay. So you can see you can change your palette if you want green, if you want brown. You know, I like 6. It's kind of the light brown. You can go to the amber one if you like. There's the kind of the teal and blues. A lot of guys like this blue right here. A lot of guys like this green right here. I prefer the light brown palette number 6. Advanced settings, all that's in there is surface clarity. Again, keep that on low. That's the factory settings that it comes with. More options is going to be to stop sonar when you need to stop it. Fish reveal, never turn that fish reveal on. Never ever turn that fish reveal on. Just watch what it'll do. That's not a fish, but watch this. It starts putting these red sonar marks all over your markings that you got out here, and I just don't like it. It clutters up the screen. I don't like it. When you're idling, and we'll show you guys some images today, when you're idling over fish with Downscan, they're going to be clear dots already. You don't need to add anything to make them clear on Downscan. Range lines, all range lines are is depth lines where you can see, okay, well, that fish is sitting at 10, 20, whatever. I never use those because you can already see the numbers right here on the side. Those lines, again, clutter up the screen, and I just don't like clutter on my screen. And that's it, man. That's all the settings that we got. Look, side scan, it's the exact same settings. When you set it for Downscan, it automatically sets it for side scan as well. So they're both going to work exactly the same. All right, guys, what I want to show you now is kind of how I set up on spots and mark fish. When I'm idling over all these spots and I'm just kind of wandering around marking these waypoints, which is what I do. And we've shown you guys some of those graph shots of me idling over fish. In fact, this school, we can show you a shot of this school that we found today. But what I do is I actually, however long that school is, however long they stretch out, I mark a waypoint. If we look right here at the graph, you can see I mark a waypoint on each end of the school. We had a group here, we had another little group here, and another little group here. So I marked all those fish. Now there were some brush piles over here that piqued my interest as well. So I marked each and every brush pile. Now I got my boat set up where I wanted to cast to that school of fish and to that brush pile, to those brush piles as well. I could cast to either that I wanted to. The wind was coming in from kind of this direction right here today, so I was able to set up right there, throw crosswind, throw into the wind, and fish that bait very efficiently through both of those structures. And then once I got my boat position, I'll go ahead and hit mark on my front graph and mark that American flag waypoint. I use those American flag waypoints to mark where I like my boat to set up on offshore structure, because the triangle of your boat shows up really good on that American flag, the little triangle logo wherever your boat's floating, which you guys know what I'm talking about there. But I always mark the entire school. I drive through the school, I drive around them, I mark, see how they're laid out, and that allows me to set up the boat correctly. That's such an important part of using your mapping, is marking your structures, marking your covers, and marking your schools of fish, okay? That's gonna allow you to set up efficiently and keep your bait in that school for a higher percentage of the time. Now here's another spot that I've marked, and I've got two different flag waypoints because I like to set up on them two different ways depending on wind. Also, you'll notice these little rock waypoints. This is actually a hard ridge. It's got like a hard drop-off ledge. It's a ridge that runs out into the lake. It gets very narrow out here, gets wider up here, and I kind of marked two rocks to mark the wideness of it up there. But I've got those rock waypoints marked to designate where the structure is. Now these fish icons that are in different colors, I got pink, yellow, and green fish icons. Those are 3 different days of where I've marked schools of fish on that point, on that particular ridge, right? So I'll do green one day, then the next day I'll do pink, and then the next day I'll do yellow, and the next day, before I start, I'll delete all the green and start over on green again. That way I always know where my latest schools of fish have been marked. And if you go ahead and look at the screen again, what I do is, you can tell I marked all these fish along this ridge, and one day this is where I like to set up, where this flag waypoint is right here. I like to set up right there because I can cast right up this ridge and keep my bait in those schools of fish the entire time. Now, there was a day where the wind set up where I couldn't make the cast the right way from right there. Too much of a cross when we had too much bow in our line, so we set up on this other flag off to the side, and we're casting with the wind this way, and we just had to do it that way because when we cast it that way, we were getting too much bow in our line. So just some little things that I do that I've developed doing over the years, like a little system almost that I've developed over the years for using my maps, that helps me be a lot more efficient on offshore structure, allows me to get my customers to keep their baits in the school of fish a lot more efficiently. So hopefully some of those tips on mapping will help you guys. Now let's go graph some structure and kind of show you guys what our pictures and images look like with our settings. We'll also show you guys, as we have been, we'll continue to show you guys some images of fish that we've graphed today. Guys, you can see that's going to be a brush pile right there. See the shadow coming off the brush, and we're zoomed way in. Here's another brush pile. We've got several brush piles located. We had just passed one back behind us as well. Cody Mays is nice enough to let me come do this graphing video while he's guiding, but as you can see, he's catching a few fish. He's also still an idiot though. All right, here's another smaller brush pile right here. See the small shadow coming off it? That's actually a solo stump out there, a small stump right there. That's a fish right there, I think. Maybe a fish right there. Here's more brush, brush, brush. You can see all these brush piles in here mixed in. But that's what your side image looks like. That's brush. It'll also show rock ledges. It'll show schools of fish at times. I'm not going to get on Cody's school of fish to show you guys that, but you guys can kind of see how the image works. There's some fish right there sitting outside of this ledge out there in about 20 foot. those are bass. Those are bass sitting right there. We should come over another brush pile here any moment. All right, guys, there you go. There's a great shot. Got some crappie sitting over that brush pile, you think, and some bass sitting out here to the side, but there's a great shot of one of the brush piles on Downscan. It just shows you the detail you get. I mean, you can literally count the individual crappie, count the individual bass. There is a giant sitting right there, probably waiting to eat crappie. That's what a really big one looks like on Downscan right there. It looks like somebody took a Sharpie, it just went dot right on the screen. Here's some yellow bass out here. It looks like they're all tightly together. See how tight those dots are together? Those are gonna be yellow bass. Those are gonna be crappie. The ones that were more spread out earlier, that were a little bit medium-sized dots, those are gonna be kind of your average size bass. These are yellow bass all bunched up tight together out here. They look like carpet on the floor. So you can even tell the different species of fish by looking at the way they're set up on your Downscan. Well, there you go, guys. There's some side images. There's some down images. You saw some sonar images earlier on the pictures we showed you of fish whenever we were going over those as well. So that's how I use my graphs, man. That's how I use this console electronics. Like I said in the beginning of the video, this is where it all begins. Even for the big boys, the Patrick Walters of the world, the Josh Joneses of the world that are out there hunting those fish down on live scope, man. This time of year, when all these fish start pulling off in schools offshore, you got to know how to use this tool right here to locate these fish. And then once you get that part, then you can go into the live scope and the 360 and catching them. And to be honest with you, if you're good enough with this right here, you almost don't even need those. A lot of times this time of year when these fish get in schools, you just locate them, waypoint them, cast into them, and you can catch them. I do it with customers all the time without ever even looking at them on the front graph. So really handy tool if you know how to use it. Take these settings. Hopefully these will help you catch more and bigger bass. Hopefully it'll help you tune your graphs up. I know there's guys that sell electronic tuning tips, and with Humminbird I understand, because Humminbirds are a lot more complicated to get dialed in. But if you own a Lowrance graph at your console, it is so easy to set it up. All you got to do is watch videos like this, and you can literally make the adjustments yourself, set your personal preferences yourself. There's no reason for you to go book anybody. I have people call me and ask me if I will run a Lowrance trip, like set their graphs up for them, and I'm like, dude, I'm not going to charge you for that. Like, meet me at the boat ramp. I'll show you some basic settings and you go do it yourself, and I'll show you how to do it. It's that easy. Lowrance is that user friendly. So hopefully you guys can get them dialed in from here, man. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, be sure you go check out the Fish Life app, man. All these fish that we caught in the video earlier this week, they're all located on Fish Life app spots. We're always updating the spots. Cody Mays is up there on a Fish Life app spot right now as we speak. You guys just saw him catch a fish. This is a deal where you've got a guy like myself that's on the lake full time on each one of our lake packages, and they are giving you the most current and up-to-date information that you've ever had access to in the world of bass fishing on an app. You can go in there and see exactly where we're catching fish, exactly the type of area it is. We even tell you what kind of baits we're using, and you guys can go fish the same exact way we do on all these lakes that are available on the Fish Life app premium packages, including Lake Fork and so many others in this region. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us today, man. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, hope this video helps. We'll see you next time right here on your Lake Fork Guide.